If you're having coffee with me, I'd welcome you into my tangle of words. Feel at home, put your feet up, compliments of the season. If you're having coffee with me, I'd ask if you're familiar with the word pareidolia. Pareidolia is the human tendency to perceive familiar images or patterns, especially faces in random or ambiguous stimuli. Our brains have a special area called the fusiform face area in the temporal lobe dedicated to facial recognition, which activates when we see faces real or perceived. This explains why some people can see faces in unlikely places like on coffee stains, tree bark, and food splatter, and they're usually very expressive, smiling, frowning, and staring at you from the pan. If you're having coffee with me, I'll tell you that according to research, kids experience more pareidolia than adults due to their brains still forming pattern and object categories. Even newborns show preferences for face-like patterns, suggesting this ability is innate rather than learned. Humans evolved to recognize patterns instantly because it was essential for survival, spotting a predator, identifying threats in the dark. It's best to mistake a rock for a lion, see a lion as a rock. If you're having coffee with me, I'll tell you that as we grow older, pareidolia becomes less intense, less frequent, and less spontaneous as our imaginations become encumbered with logic and reason. While a child will see dragons and unicorns in every child, an adult just sees the possibility, rain. Creative individuals will definitely see more pareidolia due to their flexible thinking styles, although interestingly, they're likely to be more distractible because their brains are constantly scanning for patterns and connections. How wild is your imagination? I not only see things in places, the description usually comes with a detailed commentary that's almost a story on its own. Pareidolia is also used in psychological evaluation tools, for example, the Rorschach or Inkblot test to assess character and thought patterns. A jovial person is likely to see figures with joyful expressions, while a melancholic person would perceive dark and broody imagery. And on that note, as the statue overlooking the Minister of Finance for presenting the national budget seems as if it's pained by the contents of the briefcase. As would I, after briefly perusing the budget and find nothing but taxes and yet more taxes. VAT went up from 15 to 15.5%, and there'll be a new 15% withholding tax on payments for digital platforms such as streaming services, ride-hailing apps, online adverts, and satellite internet. Some speculate this might increase the price of Starlink services, but yet to see how that plays out as Starlink already includes a regulatory fee. If you're having coffee with me, I'll tell you that the Minister of Finance presented the 2026 budget themed Enhancing Drivers of Economic Growth and Transformation towards Vision 2030, signaling the start of the National Development Strategy 2 for 2026 to 2030, focused on transforming Zimbabwe into an upper middle income economy by 2030. But so far, it only points to things getting more expensive in 2026. Though the budget proposes a tax cut on the intermediate money transfer tax, which is a tax levied on electronic financial transactions. The 0.5% reduction is only when transacting with the local currency, the ZiG, but every other electronic transaction carries a 2% tax, not including bank charges. Very few people prefer dealing with the local currency despite the government's insistence that it is well received, and they will progress with plan of making it the sole currency. Believe it or not, there was a time when people would have preferred goats as a payment method. If you're having coffee with me, I'll tell you that speaking of goats, businessmen Moses Mpofu and Chimombe were handed lengthy prison terms of 22 years and 17 years respectively for defrauding the presidential goat scheme. Mpofu had 8 years conditionally suspended, 3 years on condition of good behavior, and 4 years if he pays restitution, leaving him with 15 years effective. Chimombe got 5 years suspended, leaving him with 12-year sentence. The duo used falsified company documents to secure a government contract under the Presidential God Passport scheme worth 87 million. After receiving 7 million, Mpofu and Chimombe delivered only 4,208 goats, valued at about 331,000. The High Court condemned the breach of public trust and the manipulation of a program meant to uplift vulnerable communities. Will harsh sentences serve to deter tender fraud, corruption, and abuse of public funds? Some speculate that Mpofu and Chimombe are more of scapegoats to the god fraud and a sideshow distraction. What's been happening in your neck of the woods?